20 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is Friday, and I have one thought for that. Thank God. Woo. Ready for the weekend. But before we get to the weekend, we got a really good show for you today. Mark Griffin to join us in just a few moments. Herm Edwards at 3 p.m. And then one of the really successful young coaches in our area, Karen Booker, Barry Booker's sister, killing it with the Trevecca women. They're in the semifinals of their tournament in the Great Midwest. And so a lot happening. Let's say hello to Billy. Billy, how are you?
George, I'm great today. No Watson.
No Watson.
So, no rats today on the bet of the day, but you've got bets for the weekend.
Yes.
So there will be a lot of encouragement.
Yeah, he has not been. I don't know how good a teammate he's been.
Yeah,
Plaster bet of the day.
I don't think he's been super supportive of you.
No, and yet I continue with the standard of excellence that has gone unnoticed. To be honest,
we recognize that David and I.
No, I don't know that you do. You make a lot of snide comments. When I'm 0-3, you then, put out on social media, is he going 0-4? Well, you know what? The answer is no, I'm not. Washington State.
What happened to TSU last night? That's the question.
They got hammered.
That was a little confusing.
I did not see that one coming.
Neither did I.
So do you have the music ready for a March Madness scoreboard update?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
George.
I can take a little swig.
Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Courtesy of David, we've got another
do well.
March Madness scoreboard update. We start in the SEC in Greenville, South Carolina in today's quarterfinal round. Number 1, South Carolina stays unbeaten, and they knock off Arkansas 93-66. Ole Miss leads Texas A&M right now 35-29 in the second quarter. LSU will play Georgia at 5. In Tennessee, the Lady Vols will play Kentucky tonight at 7. In the OVC, Little Rock currently leads SEMO 25-16 at the half.
This is on the women's side.
On the women's side,
okay.
Yep. Tennessee Tech faces Eastern Illinois at 3:30 today on ESPN+. On the men's side in the OVC, in the semis, SEMO will face Morehead State tonight at 7 on ESPNU, and UT Martin plays Tennessee Tech at 9:30 tonight also on ESPNU. Staying on the men's side of things, in the Sun Belt down in Pensacola, quarterfinal round today. South Alabama faced Southern Miss earlier today. We'll get a score for that one. James Madison is taking on Troy right now. Marshall will play Texas State at 5 o'clock today. Louisiana will play Georgia Southern tonight at 7:30. Lastly, in the Missouri Valley on the men's side of things up in St. Louis, Bradley right now leads Northern Iowa 65-62 with just under 2 minutes to play. Really good one up there in St. Louis. Indiana State will play Belmont after this one, 30 minutes after this one.
And where could a person find that?
On Bally Sports.
Which, if you've got Comcast locally,
you're in luck.
That's channel 1250.
Channel 1250. We've got it on in here.
We try really hard to be a full-service operation.
We really do. Drake will face Murray State, tonight at 6. And Southern Illinois will face Missouri State tonight at 8:30. And that is your March Madness scoreboard update.
Okay, and I'll give that one B+.
Yeah, it wasn't my best work.
No, why not?
Well, you've got a lot of scores, and, we've got a researcher working hard.
Researcher, wow. That is impressive.
No, David's doing a great job helping us out with the scores, and
okay.
I will take the blame for any
really
mistakes. Yeah.
So his work was an A+. Yours was more kind of a B-.
Yeah, kind of average.
Okay. What do we got?
George, in the update, Liam Robbins, it's been made official. I know we had sort of rumored this, but Stackhouse said earlier today on 102.5 The Game that he is officially out for the season. Stack said he's in surgery right now to repair a fracture in his lower leg, so he will definitely be out for the season, but they're hoping for a successful surgery this morning. And George, the thing I think about for him is you really hope it doesn't affect his NBA future.
Oh, I think it absolutely will. I talked to Will Perdue today about him. Will thinks he would be better off not being drafted. The NBA draft is now 2 rounds. He thinks that Liam Robbins would be better off being able to pick and choose what team could best use his services. You know what? I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen guys in the G League go undrafted and play there for about a year or two and then move up. So I think G League could really be an option for him. But I think he's an NBA guy, George. I mean, looking at him when he's healthy, he's as dominant as anybody. So
recently he's played like it.
Yeah.
This is a bad loss for them, just like Tennessee's deal with Ziegler.
Yep. So they'll both be without those 2 guys down the stretch here, and we'll see what happens next week in Nashville at the SEC tournament. George, I wanted to throw this out there in the combine. Of course, going on, everybody's running their 40 times. Byron Young, defensive end at Tennessee, he opened a lot of eyes at the NFL combine. He posted a 4.43 40-yard dash. He's a defensive lineman. So, I mean, he's
280 pounds worth.
Right. He's an edge rusher. I guess they call him a linebacker, but those guys are edge rushers, and they're considered D linemen. That's third behind linebackers. Nolan Smith ran a 4.4 as well. And then Owen Papo at Auburn also ran a really good 40-yard dash. So it's incredible the speed and athleticism of some of these guys, even though they're on the D line.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They're not playing in the Green Hills 4-on-4 run and shoot.
No, they're not. They've been playing in the SEC. So
for a while.
Good on Byron Young. He probably improved his stock a little bit. George, I wanted to throw Chip Kelly in here. UCLA has signed a contract extension with him through the 2027 season. They finished 9-4 last year, lost to Pitt in the Sun Bowl, but last year was the first time since 2014 that the Bruins were ranked inside the AP top 25. So that, I thought that was a really good finish to the season there, and they've extended Chip Kelly.
Well, they should. I mean, he's made UCLA football relevant again. You remember that classic game against USC where they got beat. It was either 49-45 or 45-42 in the Rose Bowl. And UCLA football with DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson, all of a sudden got relevant again.
Yes, they did. So Chip Kelly, he's going to be in California for a little bit longer. I'm sure that's that's a good thing for him. George, we've got NFL news. Jordan Renan on Twitter tweeted out earlier today. He said, "Have heard in recent days there has been progress between Daniel Jones and the Giants. Getting something done by Tuesday doesn't seem unreasonable. So it sounds like Daniel Jones could become the 9th quarterback ever to earn an annual salary of at least $40 million. So
sweet.
So,
wow. You think where he was a year ago, he was on the out.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's on the in.
Does he deserve it?
I don't know that any of them at the
really
quarterback position deserve the kind of money we're talking about. I mean, when I hear Aaron Rodgers at $58 million a year, give me a break. You can buy a lot of dark rooms for $58 million.
I wonder if
you can have my bedroom, shut the lights.
I wonder if he used
$10 million.
Any of that money for the darkness retreat.
I don't know. I don't get it.
But that's it. For
I don't get him.
Who does?
Just to be perfectly honest. So it sounds like, Billy, that something's going to happen in the next 3 days. First of all, because I think Green Bay is fed up. I don't think they're willing to play this little cat and mouse crap with him anymore. And I kind of think he's out of there.
That's what it feels like. It's kind of the weird tension. No one will really admit it right now, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like he's going to be a Packer next year.
Here's the other thing I don't get. Okay, he came out of the dark, whatever that thing was, like at the beginning of the week.
Yes.
Okay, you would think that both of those sides, knowing full well the deadline stuff and how it all needs to roll, that when he got out of the cave, that either the Packers would have called him saying, hey, we need to meet, or he would call them saying, hey, we need to meet. What's the delay?
Who knows? I mean, I think if you're the Packers right now, you're looking at Aaron Rodgers saying, what can we, if we want to trade him, what can we get for him? Because I don't think they're releasing. I mean,
no,
they won't release him.
This is trade stuff.
Yeah. They're probably thinking, what can we get? What's the best possible option that we can trade Aaron Rodgers for?
They're pretty sure they've got 3 that they can play off of each other. Carolina, they've got JETS, and don't ever count out the Raiders, which is where I think he might end up.
Back with Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Wouldn't shock me.
George, there's one last piece of news here I want to throw out there.
What might that be?
The Buffalo Sabres have shipped Rasmus Asplund to the Predators. He's a forward there in Buffalo. They traded him for a 2025 7th-round pick, according to Sportsnet. So, never heard of Rasmus Asplund for Buffalo, but the Preds have they've acquired somebody.
Sounded like a vegetable.
It sure did. I didn't know if you had heard of him at all, George, but
no, I hadn't.
I certainly haven't.
Guess who's waiting from his palatial suite in Big D?
Griff.
Mark Griffin's ready and raring to go. We got a lot to talk to him about. The first thing we're going to get into, and this is no surprise, is Mark's belief of how Tennessee will try to skin the cat now that there is no Ziegler to count on anymore. We'll get those answers and more when we come back. This is the George Plaster Show. And Mark, don't you forget it.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Okay, if you're watching this show live, we have a late final out of St. Louis. Bradley survives and advances. It was not easy. They were down midway through the second half, but rallied to beat Northern Iowa 72-66. So if Belmont wins today against Indiana State, that's who they're going to get stuck with tomorrow. Bradley.
And they haven't beat them yet this year.
That's true. So most of you watching this show live know that we have had wind today like I have never seen. Short of tornado kind of activities, I think we've gotten up into the 60 mile per hour range with the wind here. Mark Griffin's down in Dallas, and he told me earlier today that last night down there was crazy. Mark, tell us what it was like.
Well, George, it was 80 mile an hour winds in Dallas area. Objects were hitting cars. It was hard to get in and out of buildings. I don't believe there was a tornado that hit in Dallas proper, but I know there was one in Texas.
Yeah.
Terrible occurrence. But everyone was safe, which is good. It delayed me from getting home today. And just like last week, being in New Jersey airport, I'm at least can say that I'm in a hotel waiting to come home later this evening and excited to be on your show.
Well, we're excited to have you on. Mark, the news was not good Tuesday night from Thompson Bowling. Now, the game turned out to be terrific, but the injury to Ziegler is a killer. So kind of give me your thoughts on how Tennessee tries to skin the cat with him no longer available. Is it simply Vescovy at point guard?
Well, I don't think it's going to be that simple for Vescovy to be at point guard because he's been so effective on the wing. I think what you're going to see Coach Barnes do is give the ball to Meshack more to run the point like he did against Arkansas and did a phenomenal job at the point guard. He's not a natural point guard in my mind. And with Auburn's pressing style defense, I think it's going to be a challenge for him. But he only had one turnover in 24 minutes against Arkansas. So he's proven short term that he can handle the opportunity to run the point, but we'll see how that fares over the long term. I do think it's going to be a mixture of other personnel on the team. Maybe Tyreek Key gets a run. He's been he's been hurt. He's been slumping as well from the field goal range. But I do think you're going to see more of Meshack handling the ball. And Vescovy will run points some. I could see situations where even Josiah Jordan-James could run the point. And he plays a 1 to a 4. You've got a lot of options for this Tennessee team to take over the point guard responsibilities. But you're going to miss a lot of his leadership. He's got a lot of intangibles that carry over to his team. And one of the things, George, going into the SEC tournament and tournament play that really comes in is guard play. And when you are fouling a guard, you obviously, or any opponent, you're looking to foul the worst free throw shooter. And Tennessee would want him to have the ball as far as Ziegler with the ball because he was shooting 83% from the free throw line. Meshack is a concern because he's shooting 58%. So I think you'll see Coach Barnes adjust to maybe Vescovy running the point more with the last 4 minutes of the game, but it's just going to come down to see how Meshack flows from the onset.
Mark, in most years, you would say about a national title kind of contender, hey, they've lost Ziegler, they got no chance.
Yeah.
But this is a crazy year where the one seeds don't always feel like one seeds. I watched Tennessee Tuesday night. They looked like a national title contender. Have you given up hope of that, or do you think there's still a pathway where they could be a big factor?
Well, it's interesting, George. Last week I wasn't as optimistic about this team, and it ebbs and flows as far as the direction of possibility of how far this team can go. And I'm sure if you really look into the mindset of the coaching staff, you do want more consistency. Now, can you take advantage of such a great evening in Knoxville against a very talented Arkansas team that, once again, really struggles on the road, has no inside game, has great guards, but no inside game? Can you maximize that? How tough is it going to be going into Auburn, where Auburn's 13-2 at home, and Auburn, before they lost, earlier in the season at home, had the second longest winning streak in the country behind Gonzaga. So it's going to be a tough matchup. Bruce Pearl will have them prepared. Tennessee's just going to have to eke out some minutes where they can and really get into their offense of their effective screenplay and score from there. One thing I would like to say about Meshack, if you don't mind, George, is one of the issues that I've had concerns with this Tennessee team is not getting to the free throw line. Meshack is your best downhill player. And what I mean by that, he's the one player that drives to the basket more consistently than anyone. So he'll have more opportunities to go to the free throw line. He just has to come through and hit. But I also believe that the more opportunities that he gets at the free throw line, he can develop even more confidence. So I think the timing's really good for people to step up. It's terrible for Meshack and the chemistry of the team, but it's that motto, next man up. You've got depth. This Tennessee team has the most depth I've ever seen Coach Barnes' team have. So I really do think they can replace this vital piece.
So, Mark, apparently we had a wind gust, and you and our pictures went away. Hell, I thought it was a better show that way.
Whatever it takes for the ratings, right?
No, I'm just kidding. So, Bruce Pearl really well. How bad does he want to win tomorrow?
I don't know if he even sleeps still night before games. He's got so much enthusiasm, and I don't know his overall record against Tennessee and Barnes, but I do think it's over 500. Had a lot of success against Coach Barnes. And what you're going to see with an Auburn team tomorrow is a very effective defensive team. They're ranked in the top 20 as far as opponents' field goal percentage. Tennessee is actually second in the country. So you've got two really strong defensive teams. The concern is who's going to score. When you look at the offensive side, not putting up a lot of points, not a lot of consistency as far as field goal shooting. They've got great inside presence with the big kid Broom, that's a transfer from Morehead State, was very effective against Tennessee and Knoxville, which I was at that game. And for some reason, Auburn quit going inside to him. He had 8 points first 6 minutes. But Broom, is a sophomore, and he's second in the SEC in rebounding. He's third in blocks per game, and he's fourth in field goal percentage. So he's been a great pickup for Coach Pearl during this offseason. And I think that if Tennessee can contain Broom, they've got a shot. If Auburn can maximize Broom, I think that's really going to hurt Tennessee, even if Auburn's not shooting well at home.
Are you of the belief that it may be as simple as Auburn has to win tomorrow if they're going to the NCAA tournament?
Well, I tell you, Joe Lunardi thinks so. If you look at the latest rankings that he has.
And God knows we don't go against Joe.
No, and he's getting a lot of TV time right now, but deservedly so, George. I'm a fan, and I actually look at it a lot during the week, like probably many of you do. He's got him, I think, one team from being eliminated. I don't know what his titles are, but they're at the very bottom of the bubble.
Yeah.
And if you were to weigh the importance of this game, if you even could make this scenario, who needs this game more? They both need it, and equally enough, but I think Auburn will need it even more than Tennessee will for the big picture, because Auburn's fighting just to make the NCAA tournament right now, and they've really struggled here recently. So it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it.
You want to go through your 1 through 14?
Sure.
Okay, let's put that up there. Mark, on a weekly basis, gives us his SEC 1 through 14, and look at very quietly, old Missouri, who was down 15 at LSU a few nights ago, rallies, smokes the Bengal Tigers in the second half. Mark, you've got them number 4.
I have them number 4, and your graphics person has A&M next to them. Interesting. But if you notice that graphic,
I didn't change. I didn't change a lot of the logos, but the names, the names.
I see. Now I get what he's. So Texas A&M has acquired Kentucky's logo.
There you go. And why not?
That's good. And Kentucky and Arkansas, that's a nice touch.
Yeah. So let's not get confused. Let's go with the teams and the number beside it, not the logo.
By the way, Billy won't be with us next week, Mark.
Yeah, it's my last day. I'll see you, Mark.
Hey, it's all good. We have to focus, right? No, Missouri, I did jump them up from previous, and some of it has to do with net ranking. Some of it has to do with quad 1, quad 2 wins, which that's what the NCAA is going to look at. Some of it has to do with eyeball tests. It's not a scientific formula, but I've watched enough games to where I get a pretty good feel week to week. And with their comeback against LSU, I thought was magical on the road. I think they really earned to be number 4 right now. Because they didn't just rely on their all-SEC performer, Kobe Brown. Other players stepped it up. And for Missouri to be successful, they had to get a good road win against a really bad LSU team. But nonetheless, that does give you confidence moving forward when you can steal one from the road in the fashion that they did. It was amazing.
Okay, let's put that thing back up there for a minute. Mark, here you've got Tennessee and Vandy both with just crippling injuries.
Yes.
How do you think the committee a week from now views these two teams? Let's start with Tennessee, who we know is going to be in, but does Ziegler's injury hurt them a seed or 2?
I don't believe it does. And I don't know what factor, the human factor that they do put in this equation. And if so, it should be minimum at best. You hear things in the past about, players being injured and how it affects you. We all try to project, but I think you have to look at what is demonstrated on the floor, look at their quad victories. Now they're not looking as much as last 10 games. I'm wondering if that still comes into play, George, looking at net ranking. I think it's going to be minimal. I think the bigger picture, at least for Tennessee, the bigger picture for Vanderbilt is just so unfortunate for Liam Robbins because, man, and you, George, we've talked about him a lot this season, a huge fan of his, and I hate that for him and Coach Stackhouse and his team. And I know you guys have probably talked ad nauseum about this win against Kentucky. If you were to tell me Liam Robbins would play 4 minutes and even Vanderbilt getting a win in Rupp, which you and I laughed about last week, is absolutely incredible. And you've got to give Stackhouse credit and the preparation and these players' self-confidence. And one thing I wanted to add about Jerry Stackhouse, if you don't mind, George, is I was looking over his record. This is his 4th season and hadn't been so great. He finished 14th in the conference his first year, 13th his second, 11th his third, Well, this season, he's going to finish in the upper echelon or the top half of the SEC at least. So from a positive direction standpoint, you can say he is making progress. Has it been fast enough, good enough? That's to be determined, but he does have some armor in the chink there to say, you know, hey, I have shown improvement with this team. And I know next week you'll get more into this about the seeding, but it was definitely unexpected. Here was a team, George, that I was predicting to play in the first night of the SEC tournament, finishing
We all were
between 11 and 14. And now they may have a great matchup in the tournament. And if you can ride that momentum and playing at home, even without Robbins, it's going to be major, but they're going to have to play by committee. They're going to have I think they're going to go small ball, bring in more of their athletic swing guards that play both guard and forward, and more up tempo, and maybe switch defenses where they're running some matchup zones to offset the big guys where they can, and let it ride in Nashville.
So let's say, for argument's sake, that Vandy wins tomorrow at home against Mississippi State. And let's say they're a win in the tournament against somebody. How does the committee view them now that Robbins is gone?
Wow, that's a great question that I don't know the answer of, George. I really don't know. I don't know the insides of this committee. This is this so-called committee that it's like the NCAA. We don't know anybody that works there. We don't know what they do. With this committee, we may get, the president of the committee and some members, but you don't hear them being interviewed. They don't let out what exactly they're looking for until selection Sunday night, and that's limited, and that's scripted for that matter.
Don't you think it's whatever fits the narrative they need it to fit?
No doubt. I definitely think this, and I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I thought Vandy was an NIT team at best. Well, I may be eating crow here, and I'll be glad to eat crow. I would love to see Vanderbilt being that success story of the SEC, and right now they're the little darling. I just hope, for Vanderbilt's sake, the team aspect, that the fans come out Saturday against Mississippi State, because they've got a big kid in Tolo Smith. If Vanderbilt can somehow match up with him and shut him down, I think Vanderbilt's got a great chance to beat Mississippi State at home. And for some reason, Lenardi loves Mississippi State. I've seen them play a lot, and I'm still not a fan of Mississippi State as far as at least advancing in the tournament if they make it. But Lenardi likes them. I'm not as big a fan.
Mark, let's do this. Great news for Vandy that they could win at Rupp.
Yeah.
But now, after the break, we're going to go to the flip side, where John Calipari had to get in his car a couple of nights ago and say, now what? What's next? Because for the first time in a long time, I don't think he knows what buttons to push. Yeah. So stick around for that. We got plenty more coming. Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee basketball star, joining us for his weekly Friday visit. We're back after this.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Okay, all of you up in the Commonwealth, you better be listening, or in this case, watching. We're going to get down and dirty on the Kentucky Wildcats. That's Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee basketball star. Did you ever win at Rupp?
No. Came close. Rex Chapman knocked down a three-point shot. Tennessee was up at the end. Tony White had fouled out. I still remember it. And got down, and they just came back. We were shocked that we were up. And I just remember Rex knocking down a last-second shot close to the end and got beat. It's tough to win in Rupp. That's why I really, really admire these programs that win in Rupp, because it has been so tough. Let's rephrase that until this season for some reason, which behooves me, because I think it's one of the hardest places to play. It's definitely the hardest place that I ever played, George.
Yeah, it's a monster.
And it's unbelievable environment and atmosphere. The fans are so into the game and the tradition. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. So this came, Vandy's win up there came right as you were saying to yourself, Kentucky is now on all cylinders. It's all clicking. It's going to be smooth sailing, and then boom. So what do you think Calipari thought on his way out of Rupp Arena?
I think first thought is they overlooked Vanderbilt. I really do. And you could say, who do you point your finger at? Well, I think that they looked at the Vanderbilt name and may not have put the work in or preparation that they needed to, because obviously if you look at talent, Kentucky is a lot more talented than Vanderbilt. Let's just call a spade a spade. It just blew my mind. I didn't get to see the game, George. And when I was looking up the scores, I mean, I thought it was an error on my phone. So with Calipari, this has got to be one of his more frustrating seasons. And I know it is for Kentucky fans. I've got a great friend of mine from my hometown that's a diehard Kentucky fan and so frustrated because of the talent that they have and what you have on the court with a top recruiting class year after year, returning National Player of the Year in Shebway, the progression of Jacob Toppin, who I'm a huge fan of, and struggled against Vanderbilt. It's the first game in, I think, 12 games that he's not scored double digits in points. I think that's a factor, even though he did a really good job in rebounding. And Shebway, I believe, had 20 rebounds or so. Just dumbfounded.
Every offensive rebound imaginable down the stretch.
Crazy.
So is this where Calipari throws up his hands and says, this is just what we are? On certain nights, we're going to be pretty good. And on other nights, we're not going to be, and this team's not going very far?
I don't think that's the case, because I don't think any coach, even if you're successful or not, ever accepts lack of 100% effort and productivity, even if they're not good. I've been around several programs, played for some that weren't very good, but I never sensed that my head coach didn't have belief in me at any level that I ever played. And that's what you don't want to show. If you have your leadership displaying doubt, then that's just going to flow through the rest of the organization or team per se. And then you're going to start doubting, because you're looking to your leadership or head coach and even assistant coaches for anything positive that you can build on and any areas of improvement that you can continue to work on. But behind the scenes, who knows what's going through Cal's head? But I know he's not going to project it in public. Now, behind the scenes, who knows?
Okay, behind the scenes, what do you think is causing this level of talent not to win at this level?
I think it's a chemistry issue. And the problem when you talk about chemistry, it's like using the word culture. What exactly is culture? What exactly is chemistry? How do you measure culture? How do you measure chemistry? Well, it's very hard, and you can't define it mathematically. But what you can look to when you're looking to chemistry, is, do the players have each other's back? Are they going out of their way to help their teammates excel, which will help them excel? And I personally, my eyeball test shows me I'm not seeing that consistently with this team. I'm not seeing guys get in front of other people's face and encourage them and teach. They're more just looking to Coach Cal for the leadership. And I'm wondering right now, like, who is Kentucky's true leader? Now, it may be easy to say Shebway because of his production, but I don't see him huddling with the guard play and a lot of encouragement with them, or patting them on the backside, rallying the troops together, diving for that extra ball. I just think, and a coach should never should have to coach effort. That's something that's standard day one. You shouldn't coach effort. I think there's some effort issues, and sometimes the players have to step up to say, hey, you've got to give more to help this team. But I'm wondering, George, if some of these guys that are star players have their own agenda and what they're hearing behind the scenes.
Mark, I've come to the conclusion that Alabama is struggling with all the internal stuff that's been going on. They weren't worth a hoot in winning in overtime at South Carolina.
Yes.
They played one good half against Arkansas, and thank goodness, because that's what pulled their chestnuts out of the fire. And then against Auburn, they played 15 really solid minutes and then got to overtime and wore Auburn out. This is not going to get it done. So tell me what you think is going on, and what is Oates trying to do to get them out of this funk that clearly they're in?
Well, you hate to talk about peaking too soon, because people will talk this time of the year that you do want to peak in March. And I'd hate to say Alabama's peaked, because if you peaked, you can only pretty much go downhill. And it's really interesting, the dynamics that this team is going through when they're not on the court. And that part, these student athletes haven't gone through. So they're dealing with something completely new. It's not like they're in the layup line doing fundamentals like they've done every day since they were 12 years old. They know how to handle going in for a clean layup. This is not a layup. This is a one-off situation that these guys will probably never go through again. off the court. How does that affect you on the court? Does it? I believe it does. I've been through, and probably a lot of your listeners have been through situations of team dynamics that disrupt your play on the court on the mental side, not the physical side, but the mental side of trying to stay positive and fight through any internal issues. Some do it better than others. Coach Oates didn't have the best first press conference. Makes me wonder, how was his first interaction with his team? In the locker room, how'd that go? And then having to maybe back up to talk to them. And then the guys are sitting there going, well, hold on, you told us this, and now you're backing up. The SID department got involved, and now you're saying this. So what are you really saying? So then there's trust issues. And then just the overall play. I really do think that the more these teams play, and not just Alabama, but we had talked about this before as far as scouting, the more you're really able to get more film and to break down your opponents, the farther you get to March, which we're in now. And I think that people are starting to poke holes in Alabama to realize Brandon Miller may get his like he did against South Carolina with 41, but we're going to stop everyone else. And they don't have an inside presence with Bediako. I think he may score 4 points a game. Big guy, but no presence. So you can help more on the inside to some of these other guys like Quinterly, who I think is a great guard. Seals, another a great guard. Sears. So you've got more opportunity to help where needed and slack off certain players where not needed based on their weaknesses. And I think people are figuring that out now with Alabama. So I actually predict that Texas A&M is going to win tomorrow. I've been pretty good on my predictions, George, not probably like you, but I do think that there could be a really good upset. And I'll tell you why. Texas A&M fans, I watched the Tennessee game, and even Stevie Hamer, who was broadcasting that game, he couldn't even hardly hear himself.
Yeah.
And you don't think that about Texas A&M basketball. Buzz Williams has done a fantastic job with this blue-collar type team. And I just think the fans are going to help get Texas A&M through this battle against Alabama. I really do believe that.
So, Mark, we're starting this weekend with things like Missouri Valley and Ohio Valley Conference. Next week, we get into the full, conference tournaments.
Woohoo!
So in Nashville, man, it appears it is as wide open and I predict as fun as any tournament we've seen in a long time.
I agree, George. I mean, if who do you select to win? I mean, it can be anyone right now, and anyone to me outside of the bottom four, and I would probably not have Florida in the finals as well, because Castleman's not there. Unfortunately, I think you could rule them out. But when you look at the top 8 teams, I really do feel, and I'm not going to throw any team out of the chance of winning, because you never know how people are going to respond when you're in a new environment in Nashville with such high expectations and the limelight on you, knowing that you're getting towards the end of the season and the importance of the SEC tournament. I know Calipari always downplays the SEC tournament, but you're coached to win every freaking game you play. Doesn't matter if it's an exhibition. So it's all important. People only say it doesn't matter when they lose. It all matters. And I think that every student athlete with each of these at least 8 programs have got to be feeling pretty good going into the tournament, including, which we've talked about a lot today. I know we're in Nashville, but including Vanderbilt, even with the loss of Robbins, because I think they're going to make adjustments to go more athletic, small ball. But even, I'll throw Mississippi State, even though, I lean on Tolu Smith, but other guys have got to step up. So I think the key at the end of this, when we get back together another time, we're going to be bringing up names of student athletes that we may not have talked about that stepped up on the big stage. And I really look forward to seeing who that is and which program that is, George.
Billy, let me ask you this. Is Kentucky guaranteed at this point a double bye?
No, they're not. I think if they beat Auburn, they've got a chance. But if they lose to Auburn, they definitely will not. Not Auburn. Who's Kentucky play?
Who's Kentucky?
Arkansas. If they beat Arkansas, they've got a shot. If not, they're out of the running there.
Because if they have to play 4 in 4 days, first of all, in the early going, that's good for the Nashville economy to get all the big blue in here on Thursday. But Mark, you know the flip side of it. When they lose and all those fans bolt, then it's who knows? Because all of a sudden, the one team with a distinct advantage goes out the window. And I would think at that point, Tennessee becomes the team with all the fans.
Yes. And people, as you know, being at Bridgestone during a Kentucky loss, man, it's like everyone goes down to Lower Broad and they're waiting for the big blue to come out to buy their tickets. And I hope to see that personally. No offense, Kentucky, but offense. I hope to see that. And it does give other programs an opportunity to get in. And then I wonder, George, I know Big Blue travel, unbelievably well. I'm wondering how many of the Big Blue fans are kind of like, I'm just not into it this year. I'm a little disappointed. Right. Let's not go to Nashville. Let's wait and see, and then maybe go to the NCAA tournament. I feel that's definitely being discussed, but the faithful are going to be there. But I think you're going to have some people that are kind of debating, should we go or should we not? Because let's face it, you don't really want to make a trip to Nashville and not having the thought that you are going to win.
Do you want to know how important you are?
Yeah.
Do you know who follows you? Who is right now waiting in the on-deck circle and is probably listening to you?
I have no clue.
The great Herm Edwards.
Oh,
come on.
Love Herm Edwards. 47, baby, with the Eagles. I'm old school. I remember Herm very well. Love his enthusiasm.
Hold on. Are we allowed to bring him up early for bonus coverage? Herm, say hello to Mark Griffin.
Pleased to meet you.
My pleasure. I've been following you for years. I'm not trying to show that you're old, but man,
no, we're just wise. We get wiser as we get a little age,
But I love your perspective. You're not a me guy where you're always pointing fingers at you. You're a football guy, and not even that. You're just an enthusiastic person who took advantage, I'm sure, of your opportunities to maximize your potential of the love of the game, and it comes out every time you talk. And I've always appreciated you, and I'm glad to precede you because I hate to follow you.
No, you're good. Thank you. I appreciate your nice words. I really do. Thank you. It means a lot to me too. Trust me.
Watch this, Herm. Mark, who wins the SEC tournament?
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's one that I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna go Tennessee. You may call me a homer.
Hold on, bring Herm back in here. Herm, okay. Mark played at Tennessee.
Well, you know what? Then he better pick orange. He needs to pick orange. You go down with your team, and nothing wrong with that.
And you know what's funny, Herm? I know more about this Tennessee program than I do the insights of the others. So when you're looking at scouting an opponent, even from my area of not being, directly involved on the coaching staff, I know more about the ins and outs, the pros and the cons, what these guys can do and what they can't, versus Texas A&M even, or even Alabama.
Yeah.
I hope that Tennessee plays Texas A&M in the finals versus a Kentucky. I don't want to see a Kentucky-Tennessee matchup personally, George. Now you can get into, Kentucky won twice. Does it favor Tennessee? I don't look into the odds. I think every game is unique. it's preparation, it's opportunity. But I would like to see Tennessee against Texas A&M, which is a credit to Texas A&M because we weren't talking about them being a title contender this season. And look what they've done. And I think Buzz Williams needs to be definitely one of the top candidates for Coach of the Year based on his performance for sure.
You never knew you were going to talk to Herm Edwards, did you?
Hey,
No.
listen, you know what's interesting about basketball, though, that really makes it a lot different is the fact that a three-point shot. You can stay in the game with the three-point shot. You really can. You find a way to stay in games. If you get a hot team that's making some threes, you're in trouble, boy.
Yeah.
It's troublesome, because it just creates that extra deal. Hey, if I can hit a couple threes, 2 or 3 possessions, I could take a lead. I could be behind, all of a sudden take a lead. I was watching that game last night. They're talking about the pro game, the Mavericks. They're talking about the two guys and Kyrie and those guys.
Kyrie
came
and Luka.
together. The first thing I asked when I was on studio, I was on television, I said, "What do you think, Coach?" I said, "Well, yeah, they can both shoot." I said, "But who's going to defend?"
Yeah.
I said, at the end of the day, they're playing with 3 guys. When it comes on the other side, and sure enough, the game got into 120-something. And I'm going, that's not basketball. That's like the All-Star game. All-Star game, they almost scored 200 points. I said, you can't watch that. I said, eventually you have to have a couple stops, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And we mentioned this earlier, but that's the big thing, like looking ahead tomorrow against Auburn, is the defensive presence for both teams.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a factor. I'm not talking about the SEC tournament, obviously, but tomorrow. But since they're so good defensively, as you said, Coach, it's about getting stops. Yeah. On the offensive end with the 3-point, you're right, because that mental side, I know if I can knock down a shot or two, if you get it to 10, it's that mental edge. I always knew, and everyone that played the game of basketball knew, you could have 2 minutes on the clock, but if you hit that magic number of 10, you're in the game.
You're in the game. It's unbelievable.
Mark,
Good stuff.
thank you. Say goodbye to Coach Herm.
Coach Herm, my pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine. You as well.
And thanks for being on the air. This is really big for George, and we're all very appreciative you've taken the time to come on the air, and that's guaranteed. So thank you.
I appreciate it. He's a good
Thanks,
friend.
George.
Herm, after the break, we do stat of the day. Now, you didn't know this, but you're going to help me with it today.
Okay.
We're going to have a little fun, and then we'll bring you up. Stick around. The great Herm Edwards is in the on-deck circle. That guarantees it will be interesting.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
When the Nashville Predators return home on Tuesday night, March the 14th, to take on Detroit, it's another of those college nights. And this time, it's the Auburn Tigers. So, Auburn students, alums, and fans are invited to celebrate. College Night Series ticket packages include a Predator game ticket and a limited edition co-branded hat. Tickets can be purchased at NashvillePredators.com/College Nights. War Eagle. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. We got stat of the day. I think we're going to get a little bit of help from Herm Edwards as well on this. It's brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5. Also Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, Herm, let's check out stat of the day for today. And we're going, let's see what we're going with. We're going college basketball for today. A little historical question here. The number 11 seed is the lowest seed to ever make it to the NCAA Men's Final Four. It has happened 5 times in NCAA history. Can you name the 5 teams to make it?
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding?
Come on, man. First of all, I can't name one. You're talking about naming 5. I mean, really? I mean, what come on.
Yeah.
Do the fans get the cheer? Do the fans get the?
They get
help?
the boo.
Do I get a lifeline? I need a lifeline right now.
Okay, I'm going to try to help you a little bit. David, you put the question together. What lifeline do you want to give Herm?
Yeah, 4 of the last 5 have been since 2006. Or 4 of the 5 have been since 2006.
2006.
Okay.
11.
George Mason is one of them.
You're absolutely correct.
Darn tootin'. How about that, Herm?
Come on. That's my lifeline. You got it.
That out of left field, didn't I?
Yeah. George Mason, huh? That's interesting.
George Mason in 2006.
Correct.
George Mason.
Is UConn one of them?
No, sir. Incorrect.
Okay. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's a great question. The problem is nothing is really coming to mind.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay, we need one.
One of the teams had Jesus on their side. She recently came out and said
Loyola Chicago.
There you go, 2018.
Okay. So we got
That's
2 of the 5. Did Herm go away?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
So you got that one, Loyola Chicago with Sister Jean. Let's go ahead and show them all.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and show them. So George Mason in 06, Loyola Chicago in 2018, LSU in 86.
Now, hold on a second. That was a miracle team that I happened to see. I saw them in the Mid-East Regionals down at the Omni in Atlanta. They beat Georgia Tech, which was the home team, beat Kentucky in the regional final. That was maybe Dale Brown's finest hour at LSU. UCLA was
2021. Yep.
They were an 11 seed. I remember the VCU because
Jaime Jaquez. They had a good team.
VCU got sent to Dayton.
Yep.
And under Shaka Smart, who suddenly looks smart again at Marquette. Bang.
And that was the tournament run that really put him on the map as a head coach.
Great question. So did we lose Herm?
For the moment, we don't have Herm right now.
Okay.
But
so we've got some
some
streaming issues.
Well, we've got a black screen with Herm. I think he's trying to figure it out. I'm sure he'll get it figured out.
Okay. have we got a moment to share a couple of March Madness things? I see Belmont's down 16-14 to Indiana State about 8 minutes into that game. We're kind of stalling around here because it looks like we lost Herm for a minute, but I know he's out there in the stratosphere, and we will get him back.
We will get Herm back, and but for now, George, we're going to get to another March Madness scoreboard update in the SEC. Ole Miss leads Texas A&M 77-54 late in that one in the fourth quarter. So it looks like Ole Miss is going to move on later tonight. LSU and Georgia at 5. Tennessee, the Lady Vols will play Kentucky tonight at 7. On the women's side of things, in the OVC semis, Little Rock leads SEMO 41-32 late in that one, and Tennessee Tech will play Eastern Illinois at 3:30 tonight. On the men's side of things in the OVC, SEMO faces Morehead State at 7 o'clock on ESPNU, and UT Martin will face Tennessee Tech at 9:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Sunbelt men's tournament quarterfinals tomorrow, not today. Those are tomorrow. I mentioned today. Those will be tomorrow. South Alabama and Southern Miss, James Madison and Troy, Marshall and Texas State in Louisiana will face Georgia Southern. Meanwhile, in the Missouri Valley, up in St. Louis, Bradley defeated Northern Iowa 72-66 to hang on. And right now, Belmont trails Indiana State. They were playing on Valley Sports right now.
Not so fast. They just hit a 3. They went to the dead ball timeout up 17-16.
Right. I just looked 2 minutes ago.
It.
Belmont takes the lead, 17-16. Drake will face Murray State tonight at 6, and Southern Illinois will face Missouri State tonight at 8:30.
Okay, I think Herm is back.
I'm back.
There. So did you hear the 5 teams?
No, I heard. I got to 3.
So let me try this. George Mason in 2006.
Okay.
VCU, which got shipped out to Dayton for the play-in game. LSU under Dale Brown in 86.
Okay.
Sadly, I remember that one well because I went to a regional they played in.
Uh-huh.
Loyola of Chicago with Sister Jean. And most
I remember
recently,
that one. Yes.
Yeah. And most recently, UCLA was an 11. Good Lord.
UCLA. Oh, wow.
Gosh. And you're old enough to remember that dynasty like we'll never, ever see again.
Well, my freshman year at Cal, Walton was there at UCLA.
Pretty good.
They're really good. They
Big
had
Red.
Wicks, they had Wicks. They had Rowe. Yeah, they
yes.
were really good. Yeah, I saw it in person. I saw it live.
Sidney Wicks, Curtis Rowe.
Yep.
To go with Walton. Pretty darn good front line.
Yeah. Let me get this right. I don't know this. Was Henry Bibby there?
Henry Bibby was before that.
Right.
At UCLA.
Yes, because Henry Bibby was in Philadelphia when I was in Philadelphia with Julius and all those guys.
Yeah.
And Malone and Moses Malone and Barkley, and then Mo Cheeks came. I mean, there was some guys now.
Herm, when the Titans, back when I was doing their preseason games, I snuck into the Spectrum about 4 hours before the Titans-Eagles game because I wanted to see. That was history. That was where the NCAA Final Four was held the night President Reagan got shot. Muhammad Ali fought in the Spectrum. Julius Erving did that swoop under the bucket. I mean, that Spectrum had some great history to it.
Oh, boy. Well, it used to be the old vet was right across the street.
Yes.
And so the baseball team and the football team played in the vet, and the hockey team and the basketball team played in the Spectrum. So all those teams were very close. We were all close. We'd go to each other's games. We all ended up in the championship games in '81 when we went to the Super Bowl. Every team played in the World Series, the basketball finals. We all were 4 teams, all made it to championship games.
I'm going to go, this is a weird place to start, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because you've been a head coach on the NFL level. If you got a report back from the Players Association saying that your strength and conditioning was the worst in the league, would you blow it off, or would you really say, okay, this is a wake-up call. I got to find out what's going on?
Yeah, that's a problem. Because remember, the people that touch the players the most is a strength and conditioning coach for sure. And the second coach on your staff is a special teams coach. They touch the players the most, but the strength and conditioning coach touches all of them, touches every single player. And that has to be intact. That has to be strong. That's your off-season conditioning. That's your in-season training. That's everything. I mean, that's your lifeblood right there. So when you hear a number like that, and that's surprising coming from Baltimore,
yes,
from all the success they've had. But when that starts leaking out and players are saying that, you got to do something there.
Give me some thoughts. Jalen Carter, the young guy from the University of Georgia, has had a week I'm sure he's not ever going to forget.
Right.
How much does this affect his draft status, or does it at all?
It obviously you're discussing the situation with the GM. Even an owner might get involved in this because of where he's supposed to go. He's supposed to be top 10 pick, top 5 pick. When you look at him and you get all the information. Will this stop him from being drafted? No, it will not. You have to see where it goes, right? On the legal side of it, you have to see where it goes. It's a tragedy. You hate it for the kid. You hate it for the people that obviously that are no longer here. Your prayers have to go out to those families. It's just one of those deals that you're discussing. Now, some people you still grade him, obviously, and you have him on the board. You slide him to where he's at. Some teams will just say, look, we're probably not going to draft him, right? And some other teams will say, hey, well, if he falls to us and he keeps falling, we'll draft him. So every team will have a discussion about this, because you can imagine when you're drafting, the first conversations that you as a head coach has when you go to the podium, you're going to talk about, why this organization is deciding maybe these other 3 or 4 didn't do it, So that's part of the conversation.
Take us through what really goes on at the combine with the interviews. And here's where I'm going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that a lot of these kids have gotten scripted answers from agents.
Right.
This is what we want you to say if Coach Herm asks this. Coach Herm, on the other hand, is probably saying, look, I don't want that stuff that you got on paper. I want to hear from the heart what is really you. Is that pretty accurate?
It's pretty accurate, but I'll take it one step further. First of all, you don't have a lot of time, right? These guys there's a horn that goes off. You get a certain amount of players come in your room, and you got like 15 minutes, I think it is, because every team's trying to interview these guys. So basically, you have enough information on the guy. I mean, if there's a red flag on a kid or something, you get to that, but his background, everything about him. What I always used to do was this: you introduce him to the coordinators or who's ever in that room, and then it's a matter of, we had a tape of the guy of how he played, and we watched him play, and we wanted to know from the kid, okay, what are you doing here? What did the coach ask you to do here? And why are you doing this? So we actually watched him play in front of himself so he could critique himself. And if he was a quarterback, he'd say, okay, why did you audible out of that? Tell me what you saw. What were you asked to do, right? If you're a wide receiver, whatever it may be, we watched the kid on tape and watched him explain what the call was, what was his responsibility, and even more in detail is, did you know what the other guy was supposed to do? And it's amazing how many kids know what they're supposed to do, might not know what everybody else is supposed to do. You get some kids, you call a play on offense or defense, and they know the structure of it, and they can explain basically what everybody's supposed to do. You just want to see where his FBI is, where his football intelligence is. That's what I always wanted to see.
My gut feeling is, knowing you, that you had a really good sense of how to read these kids. Did you ever get really fooled where you had a preconceived notion and then the kid came in and you had to totally change it?
Not really, because, this is why the scouting part comes in. I mean, you've watched these kids, the scouts, because I used to be a scout. when I first got into pro football. I was a scout and the part-time coach. So you go on the road, you're gathering information for the last 2 years on these guys. So, once you sit down with the coach, before you even get to the combine, you're sitting down every night going through the players that are on your draft board, and you're explaining to them exactly what these guys are about, right? You're going to call their position coaches. You're going to call their head coaches. You might even go back to call some of their college coaches. So you're going to have enough information if there's some concerning factors on the kid. I always wanted to know the background of a young man, where he came from, right? The environment that he grew up in. That was important to me, because then you could put the puzzle together on who the young man was, right? Did he transfer to a couple schools? If he did, why was that? So I try to figure out, what was the environment? Because the environment has a lot to do with the kid's mindset, right? What did he have to overcome? Some of these kids have to overcome a lot in the environment in which they grew up in, right? I always say this, kids can't choose their parents. They can't choose the environment they grow up in, a lot of them, right? And that's no fault to anybody's, but I just think, how do they go through that? And how do they achieve all the things they've achieved in their life? And there might be some things in the background where you go, wow, look what this guy's achieved.
So here's one that kind of fascinates me, because I know that there's sort of this book on him, but Herm, I remember 3-4 years ago, Carson Wentz came very close before he got hurt to being the NFL's most valuable player.
Mm.
And now all of a sudden he's been released again by the Commanders.
Right.
There's this narrative out there that he's not a good locker room guy, that he's a me. I don't know. I've never met him.
Right.
How surprised are you at this fall?
Well, I think sometimes, and this is the NFL, everything that happens in that league, you can gather information. And according to, how you take what has happened to you from some other team, and you bring it to that team, is it a carryover, or do you get a new lease on life? I mean, when you become older as a veteran, and you become a little bit more outspoken, how does that affect the team, right? Losing always affects teams. How do you handle that, right? So all these things become a factor, and you have to look at your team and look, I know Ron Rivera. He's from my hometown. So, Ron is one of those guys that if you have a problem, like in playing for Ron, I'm not saying that's bad on you as a player, but I know what kind of guy Ron is, and so I know a little bit about Carson Wentz. I don't know enough to hear and comment on it, but when you're losing and you're the quarterback and you've been other places, then that sometimes doesn't help, right? Because you're the guy that's always gets looked upon as a quarterback. They want you to be the leader. They want you to be a good player. They want you to basically almost coach talk. When the coach is saying something, you're kind of saying the same thing. A lot of this has to do with the coordinators too, right? Who was the coordinator there? Now they got a new coordinator, right? Bieniemy. So what does that look like? It'll be interesting.
Okay, last thing for you. You didn't know you were going to have to do stat of the day and talk to Mark Griffin about college basketball, but here goes. Last question. In your crystal ball, what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, boy. Well, he's out of the dark room right now.
Yes.
You know that, right? It's interesting, because there's a cost to get Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, and it's
First of all, to put him on your roster right now, you got to have $60 million of cap room. So you got to ask yourself this question. He's 39 years old. If you're one of those teams, let's say like the Jets, and you're after him, you got to clear $60 million for a day. So you're going to have to restructure some contracts or let some guys go. Then you're getting a 39-year-old quarterback that comes in to your building. Leadership-wise, I don't know where he's at right now with that, right? Does he disrupt your team, or does he bring them together?
Don't know that.
See, so there's a lot. There's more than just his, sometimes talent can be a curse. So there's more than just his talent. It's what are you buying into if you bring in Aaron Rodgers? You're losing some stuff, you're getting a great player, and then you got to ask yourself this. If we do get Aaron Rodgers, Where does that put us in the AFC? You still got Baltimore. I mean, well, not Baltimore. You still have Cincinnati. You still have the Bills. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC.
There are no guarantees.
So it's not like, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to take a Super Bowl. First of all, he's got to be a good teammate. Is he a leader to this team that is a young team? He struggled with wide receivers that were young in Green Bay. And now you got a locker room full of young guys. How is he going to do all that? Those are the questions you got to, talent-wise, you know the talent. But how long is he going to play? Is it one and done? No one knows until he might have to go back in the dark room again to tell you that. I don't know.
Mark Griffin was right. We are very lucky to have you. You are the best.
Thank you, my friend. Looking forward to seeing. I'm off to the Worldwide Leader Sunday, so I'll be there all week. Here we go.
Worldwide Leader. Do they know that that's what you call it?
Oh, they know it. They laugh every time I say it too.
I love it. See you.
Right. See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Safe travels.
Thank you now.
Oh, he is the best.
What a segment there, Mark and Herm.
Man. Yeah. How about those two?
Two worlds collide.
Yeah. So I've got to tell people about Action 24/7, brand new sponsor on the show. And then after the break, Karen Booker of the famed Booker family will join us. We're thrilled to have Action 24/7 joining us. Brand new sponsor on the show. And they asked the question, are you betting the NBA or March Madness? Well, my guess is in this area, for sure you're betting March Madness. Right now at Action 24/7, use the code George. Yeah, I've got my own code. Dadgum.
I think Plaz is better.
No, we're going George and get a 300% deposit matchup to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. What does that mean? It means if there's ever an issue and you need help, you can put a call in and somebody's going to answer. It's not going to take 2 weeks. You'll get an answer quick because these are good folks who are neighbors right here in Tennessee. Download the app or visit action247.com to start winning, and please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
We're going to have some fun with this interview, I promise you. Billy, put the picture of Barry up there first. Back when I first got to know Barry Booker, arguably, and probably no argument, the best basketball player that BGA has ever produced. And then he went on to Vanderbilt, and I discovered he had a bunch of brothers and sisters. One sister who absolutely hit it big in basketball, both as a player and now as a coach. Oh, nice picture of Barry.
Very nice.
Yeah, very good. Let's say hello to Trevecca women's basketball coach Karen Booker. She's up in Ashland, Ohio. I had to make sure I had that right.
Yes.
Her team is in the semifinals tonight in the Great Midwest, and that right there is a story in and of itself, because this is not a squad that has been used to winning. Great turnaround in the first year. Congratulations, Coach of the Year.
Well, thank you. It's been fun. It's been exciting. I think we surpassed some of our own expectations. So I will say a bit surprising, but we gotten to the point to where now we're just confident and we're ready to play and bring it on.
Do you ever consult brother Barry Booker for coaching advice?
At times he brings it, whether I ask for it or not.
I knew that was coming.
He has come to some of the games. He will do color, he will coach, he will referee all from the stands. And but he's got a lot of good insight, so I'm smart enough to listen.
Well, the beauty is if he does start yelling, I've heard his voice, they'll hear him.
Oh, yeah. And he has plenty of opinions, too, on some of their calls. So.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Karen, this had been a program that had not done any winning for the last 6-7 years. First of all, why did you want the job?
Well, I knew I moved away from Nashville about 5 years ago, and I knew Trevecca more during the days when they were winning and, tops in NAIA, and then, moving into Division II. They won the conference in the first year. And so, I knew that there was a tradition there. And, even looking at the roster, the cupboards weren't bare. And so I was very excited about the job and the potential that the team had. And so, it was a great opportunity for me, and then also the Christian atmosphere. So it's been
Karen,
exciting.
when a program has gotten used to losing, new person comes in to lead it. What are the buttons you have to push that make players in a dorm room talk to each other and say, this is different, this has got a chance?
Yeah, I think one thing about this team is there's a lot of competitors on this team. So there was such a hunger to win. And so I don't even want to say that they were used to losing, because, it hasn't happened as far as winning, but their desire to win, I think that was a lot to build on. And so there's a lot of buy-in right away. They were excited about me coming, and pretty much everything I asked for out of them, They were great as far as doing it. We worked extremely hard in the preseason, and so much of that paid off.
Was there a point in the season where there was a payoff at the window where they really said, okay, we totally see it?
Yeah. I think even early on, they got a glimpse because we played such a tough schedule early for our preseason games. We played TSU. We only lost by 4 or 5 to them. We played Tennessee Tech. We played Drury, who was in the top 10 in the country at the time. And so, just playing those teams close made a big difference. And, one thing with my background, I have a tendency to really push the fundamentals early. So while other teams might be scrimmaging a lot, we're practicing on closeouts and a lot of the little things. And so, teams that I've coached tend to do well early against teams that have a lot of talent. So I think being able to do that early, really helped out throughout the whole season to build confidence.
Karen, even though you come from a basketball family and you've been around it a long time, anything really surprise you about this?
I believe that my boss, athletic director Mark Elliott, I think that there would have been a lot of people would have been satisfied somewhat if we only won, say, double digits in terms of wins. Our goal was to get to the tournament. So, everything has kind of come as a surprise. I could tell early on that I didn't want to limit this team and say that's all we're looking to do. That's our big target. Because early on, I could tell from a lot of their desire, their competitive spirit, the sets that I gave them seemed to really fit and work for them. I just didn't want to limit this team. So kind of felt like, there's been a lot of X's and O's, but we had some good Jimmys and Joes too. So that combination, or we'll say Julies and
I was going to see how you were going to get out of that. So now you're down to 4 teams that are left, and Kentucky Wesleyan is one of them, and they're pretty good. What do you got to do to win tonight?
Well, we played them at home and we won. So we got up by as many as 21 at home and, kind of let them slip back in the game. And we only won by 8. But then at their place, we lost by 15. So we have a lot of confidence that we can beat them. And we kind of played a sloppy game at their place. We had 21 turnovers. And we averaged closer to 15, maybe a little under that. So I feel like if we take care of the ball, if we play hard, if we play a lot of what we've established as Trevecca basketball, then, I think we can pull out the win and get to the finals.
Hey, Coach, this is David Wilson. I got my Trevecca alumni purple shirt on today. I'm off camera, but good luck tonight. Talk to us about Keely Carter and Emma Palmer, 2 young ladies who've had phenomenal seasons, both Division I talents, in my opinion. Talk about what they have done for this team so far this year.
Oh, gosh, they have just led the way. They both have tremendous talent. I didn't know if Emma might even be first team all conference, but very pleased that Keely was first team, Emma second team, and just the leadership they bring. Every team. And then their scoring power, every team has to really, really focus on how are we going to stop these 2 young ladies. So we got a huge presence on the inside and a huge presence on the outside. So, that combination has been a handful for a lot of teams. And then we also have a good, solid supporting cast with some more good 3-point shooters. So we give a teams a lot to deal with. So, but those 2 young ladies, they have made big plays when needed or just stepped up when needed. Emma shoots, I think, over 60% from the field. So if we can get her the ball, she's going to put it in the basket.
Absolutely. We talked about this in August as well. Just some of the coaches that you have came across in your time playing in the WNBA. And as a coach, so just talk to our listeners about some of the coaches that kind of rubbed off on you and made an impact.
One coach that I had, actually, when I played over in Japan, Coach Dwayne Casey was my coach. And I did learn a lot from him. Vanderbilt, Jim Foster. I got my start under Sharon Fanning, and she was at Kentucky and then Mississippi State and did really well. In the WNBA, I was a volunteer assistant with Coach Greg Williams, and then Bill Lambier took over halfway through the season. So I got to observe him. Tara Vanderveer coached the team that I played on with USA Basketball. So I really learned a lot from her. Vivian Stringer coached the Pan Am team. I was alternate to that. So I've had a lot of coaches throughout my career. Tom Collin at Colorado State. And I'll throw in Becky Hammond. I mean, Becky was a player on the team at Colorado State and then in the semi-pro level with Colorado Chill. And I would say I learned to listen to players more and let them give input, because Becky had, a lot of good input. So, and this team's been great with that. So if they see things that I'm not seeing, it's good to get the player insight.
Yeah, and lastly, just talk about your vision for this program moving forward. Absolutely a phenomenal first year, taking it into year 2 and year 3 and in the future. What's your vision for the program?
Yeah, well, I guess even using Ashland as an example, I mean, they have put together a tremendous program. They're number 1 in the country. So they may be like a measuring stick for us in terms of the type of team that we would like to have and make an impact even on the national level. So that's my vision, trying to win a national championship as well as a conference championship.
Karen, I know this will shock you. Will Purdue sent out a group text earlier today. He'll be in town next week. That means dinner. Barry Booker is in. George Plaster is in. I know that's a big shock.
Oh, gosh, that is funny. Well, Will and I kind of grew up together. So we came in as freshmen at Vanderbilt. And our strength coach used to really push Will by saying, Karen Booker's stronger than you are, so you got to really hit the weights. So, and he did. So he got to be much stronger than me. But
thank you for that bit of dirt. I'll use it next weekend.
I was going to say, he's going to be using that one.
You better believe I will. Karen, good luck tonight. On a game night, for you to take the time to come on with us is really cool. Tell all the other Bookers I know I said hello.
I feel like you having me on your show is really cool, and I will pass the message along.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night.
Karen Booker, she is the coach of the year in the Great Midwest.
That's
in
really
her
cool.
first season. That's very cool.
That's awesome.
Excuse me?
Said I'm a really proud alumni over here, so hopefully we can get it going. There we go.
To you. Okay, we'll go to the break, and then the Plaster bet of the day. In this case, numerous bets for the weekend coming up. Stay tuned.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-3600. 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303. Or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the George Plaster Show on a Friday. No Watson Brown, David Wilson, George Plaster, and Billy Derrick in the building. Belmont, I already forgot it. Are they trailing or winning?
Trailing.
Okay, Belmont trails 49-44 at the half. Yes, at the half up in St. Louis for the Missouri Valley Tournament. If they win, they've got Bradley, the 1 seed, tomorrow. So that's
which is a handful.
Yes. So
this is going to be really tough for Belmont.
It is, and before the tournament, I think we had thought they might have a good chance to maybe make a run, but you look at a team like Indiana State and they can play too. So it's going to be
when
tough.
you got to play 3 tough ones in a row, that gets hard.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what Belmont does. Obviously, a high-scoring game might get into the hundreds tonight. But, George, let's get to Bet of the Day. Brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. Interesting night last night, George. You threw in a second bet with TSU, and somehow they ended up losing last night to SIU Edwardsville.
That one surprised me.
Junior Clay had 34 points, and
he really?
We had talked about him being a big-time player, but TSU couldn't play any defense. They gave up 91 points. So TSU, that bet lost, but the Washington State Cougars were able to get it done.
Should have stuck with that one. Washington State's better than Washington, and the game was at Washington. But that's good win. Washington State's had a little revival here in the Pac-10 or Pac-12 or whatever it is
whatever
now.
They're calling it now.
Whatever they're calling the Conference of Champions.
Yes.
So, Billy, here's the story. For the last 2 weeks on Friday, I have picked 4 college games. And both weekends, I've gone 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I'm going to try it again.
Let's see.
Not easy.
Let's see. Lines just came out.
The lines just came out. That's for that reason, we don't have a graphic that we normally do. So, David, you want to alert people as to what I'm going with, and then I'll tell them why.
So you're hopping on the Vandy train again tomorrow?
I am. I think they're just simply going to get it done on senior night. I'm a little bit like Mark Griffin. I'm not totally sold on Mississippi State. They struggle in the half court. This will be a dogfight, pun intended.
Both teams.
Vandy's, I believe, a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, 1-point favorite at home.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then you're taking the Tar Heels versus Duke tomorrow.
For one reason. It's at Carolina. I think they need the win more. Well, I know they need the win more than Duke does. Carolina is, depending on who you look at, either the last team in or the first team out. Do I really believe the committee is going to keep Carolina out? No, I don't.
They're too talented.
But this is a big one for them. They needed to beat Virginia, and they did. And now they need to beat Duke. So Carolina -2.5. We're going Tar Heels.
Okay.
This next one is going to be a really phenomenal basketball game. You're taking Texas A&M, the home dog, versus Alabama.
Interesting.
I don't like the way Alabama's playing. And by the way, the spread is 1.
Big home dog.
Alabama is favored by 1.
Yeah. I don't like the way Alabama's playing. I think since this thing happened, for the last 3 games, they haven't been all that good. They haven't played like a 1 seed. Well, I got news for them. Tomorrow, they damn well better play like a 1 seed, or they will not get out of there alive.
And they've already locked up the 1 seed in the SEC tournament. They're outright champions. They don't really have a whole lot to play for other than that 1 seed, but there have been a lot of people saying they've already locked it up. But if they lose to A&M and then have a tough showing in Nashville,
who knows?
You never know.
It's a crazy year.
Sure is.
And then, finally, you're going to Fayetteville. You're taking Arkansas at home versus Kentucky.
I am. It's Arkansas -4.5. They're going to be calling the Hogs at Bud Walton. This is a game that they circle in Fayetteville because when Arkansas came into the league now 30 years ago, their mission, their fan base mission, was to show Kentucky you've got fan base competition. They will make a ton of noise tomorrow. They will make it very difficult. By the way, you'll notice different sun field. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting some light on your right side.
We might have to rearrange some lighting before it's all over.
We might have to.
Anyway, we've had a weird weather day. If you're watching this thing live or later on Friday night, you already know we've had 60-mile-per-hour winds. My yard looks like Vietnam. It's an absolute disaster. Branches everywhere. But most importantly, if you're going to be out on Friday night or this weekend, drive safely. We'll be back with you Monday. David, Billy, behave.
See you Monday.
See you Monday. Y'all have a good weekend.